Keanu Reeves had always been a mystery, a Hollywood megastar who never acted like one. But what happened one fateful night on a deserted highway would prove that his humility ran deeper than anyone had imagined. It started with a simple gas station stop. Keanu, dressed in his usual jeans, leather jacket, and scuffed boots, had been riding solo on his vintage Norton Commando. He had no entourage, no security, just the open road and his thoughts. As he pulled up to the dimly lit station, a group of rough-looking bikers stood by their Harleys, watching him closely. These weren't weekend riders. They were the real deal, an outlaw gang known as the Black Reapers. One of them, a heavily tattooed man named Razor, smirked. "Hollywood's out here riding alone? You lost, pretty boy?" The others chuckled. Keanu just smiled, unfazed. "Nah, man, just enjoying the ride." Something about his calm demeanor threw them off. No fear, no arrogance, just a man on a bike. Razor squinted. "All right, Neo, let's see if you're more than just a movie biker. Ride with us." It wasn't an invitation. It was a challenge. Keanu could have said no. He could have walked away, but instead he nodded. "All right, let's ride." The gang roared down the highway, engines growling like thunder. Keanu kept up, riding smoothly alongside them, his presence almost surreal. As the miles passed, something strange happened. The outlaws, men who had spent their lives running from the world, found themselves drawn to him. He didn't try to impress them. He didn't judge. He just rode, silent, steady, present. After an hour, they pulled over at an abandoned roadside diner. Razor finally spoke. "All right, Hollywood, what's your deal? Why ride alone?" Keanu leaned against his bike, looking up at the starry sky. "Life's short, man. Lost a lot of people. My best friend, my sister, my love. Riding helps me remember them, helps me feel alive." The bikers, hardened by years of violence and loss, went quiet. They weren't used to honesty, especially not from someone like him. Then, one of them, a bearded giant named Tank, muttered, "Lost my brother last year, got shot in a bar fight." Keanu nodded, understanding. "I know that pain, but running from it won't bring him back." Tank swallowed hard. The others shifted uncomfortably. They had spent years drowning their grief in violence, in rebellion. But Keanu wasn't running. He was facing it. Then came the moment that would change everything. As they mounted their bikes to leave, the roar of another engine cut through the night. A black SUV, headlights off, sped toward them. Before anyone could react, the passenger window rolled down, and a gun barrel flashed. Bang! Tank staggered back, clutching his side. The SUV screeched away. The bikers scrambled for their guns, ready to chase. But Keanu? He was already moving. He tore off his jacket, pressing it against Tank's wound. "Stay with me, man," he urged. "Stay awake." The bikers, men who lived by revenge, were ready for war. But Keanu's voice cut through the chaos. "No time for that. Help me get him to a hospital." For the first time in years, they hesitated. Not out of fear, but out of something else. Something unfamiliar. They listened. They didn't chase the car. They didn't seek vengeance. Instead, they roared toward the nearest town, Keanu riding beside them, holding Tank steady. At the hospital, as Tank was rushed into surgery, the gang stood in stunned silence. Razor turned to Keanu. "Why'd you do that? You don't even know us." Keanu exhaled. "Doesn't matter. Pain is pain. We've all lost enough." For men who had built their lives on toughness, that hit deep. When Tank pulled through, the gang didn't celebrate with booze or revenge. They just sat with him. They listened. They talked. For the first time in years, they weren't just outlaws. They were brothers. And Keanu? He left the way he came, quietly, without asking for anything. But something had changed. A few months later, Razor walked into a community center, applying for a job to help troubled kids. Tank, no longer riding for vengeance, started working at a bike shop. one by one, the gang slowly unraveled the chains of their past. And it all started with a single night. A ride with a man who wasn't trying to change them, just trying to remind them that they still had something left to fight for. Because sometimes the smallest gesture can rewrite an entire life.